and watch.
Yeah. We'll be gentle.
No, you just
Can't DoorDash the outside table. Oh my God.
Do whatever you want, man.
You shouldn't eat those things anyway.
They're so good. All right, Congress.
Question for Coach?
Robert, with 23 hours to reflect on it or so, what have you kind of come up with when you've been looking at answers of what happened down the stretch here?
Defensively, proud of the way the guys did. I'm proud of the way everyone fought all year. Defensively, just to continue to fight and top 5 finish, all that stuff, and really love what that group has been able to accomplish. And then you just look at the offensive side of the ball, and it's just, and it's not an excuse. It's part of football, but we've got to do a better job as coaches to find a way to overcome it. But you look at all the volatility with injuries and guys coming in and out of the lineup and all those different things. And again, not excuses, but it's just things that we just could not get a hold of. And there's a whole bunch of other things from a coaching standpoint. We've got to be better. I've got to be better. But at the same time, there's a lot of really good things to look at. And I try to keep the main thing, and try to look at all the things that we did build, and really excited about our young core, really excited about the defense, because I do think we're going to get a lot of those guys back, if not all of them. Make sure that happens, Joe. And but as far as the offense is concerned, I know a lot of guys are going to come back healthy, and we're going to continue to add to that group, and we'll get better as coaches. And like I said, that 7-4 start wasn't a mirage. We've got a really good football team, and it's going to be really cool next year to watch it.
Speaking of that, when you look at those guys on offense, between Brees and ABC and Mackay, obviously, what does your offense look like with those guys back?
Well, I think a perfect example. I'd read a stat that when AVT was on the field with Brees, and we had a run play that was something like 90 carries, 5.6 yards a carry, which was number 1 in the NFL. And when it wasn't, it was under 4 yards a carry. So it's a really big difference when those guys are on the football field. They just open up everything with regards to it. It makes it easier to protect. It makes it easier for the quarterback. It makes it easier for everybody when the O-line is humming and the backs are humming, and it just makes everything easier.
Where are you, Robert, in your evaluation of your staff?
We just got done with all the players. Those are things I'm going to sit down over the next few days.
Is there a specific date where you want to have it finalized, whether you're going to make changes or not going to make changes?
No, there's a lot of things happening today with regards to exit interviews and all that, and a lot of outside noise with all these other teams. So just make sure I just need to sit down, relax, and just take all this in.
You've said repeatedly over the last couple of weeks that you're committed to Zach. Are you prepared to say that you're committed to him as your starter for next year?
It's the same discussions I've had with him. So it's we're always going to cross T's and dot I's, and the one thing I can promise him is that he's going to have an absolute the chance to go in and compete, and but no different whether he's our starter. Whether we sit back and we devote to him, redevote to him as a starter, whatever it is, whatever decision we make, I will stand by what I've told you guys in the past, that these next 4 months up until OTAs is about him. It's not about the jersey. It's about him, and him getting his mind right and getting his mental and physical parts right. And I think he'll do that. He's a good kid, works hard. He understands what the main thing is, and he's young. He's only 23 years old. He's trying to figure all this out just like I am. And but right now it's about him and him only. And then whatever happens from there, we'll go from there.
Robert, with the quarterback position, year 3 is generally where you expect to see the player take off.
Yep.
So for this to be a situation with Zach where, in best case scenario, he's presented an opportunity to compete for the starting job. It's not a great look publicly. Is there anything that, how do you view it, I guess is the question.
All part of a growing process, when you look at this league, and it's and I get it, you can take whatever I'm saying and you go a million different ways. All these players develop in different ways, and so sometimes when you make a decision for the moment doesn't mean you're losing confidence about the future. So we can look back at the past of this year and say, God made a lot of mistakes, you're not showing a lot of faith in him, you can whatever. But the reality is it's making decisions at that moment for what you think is best for the organization. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have faith in that individual for what he can become in the future. So as it pertains to Zach, I do expect him to take a jump going into his third year and understanding how to handle everything and just decompressing and resetting and doing all that stuff. I think he's going to have a tremendous amount of growth. Again, he's only 23 years old. So I do expect him to have that big jump, and whatever happens from there happens.
How much of a challenge, real quick on a follow-up with this, how much of a challenge, because you want Zach to take that next step, you want to develop Zach. How much of a challenge would it be if, with Zach trying to figure out everything you need him to figure out, if you added learning a new offensive scheme on top of that?
Well, it's all going to be challenging regardless. It's there's going to be things, whether with Mike and talking LaFleur and self-scout and adding to the scheme. So there's always going to be new things to learn. You're always going to have to learn different things, and you're going to have more dumped on you in terms of trying to evolve offenses and trying to create more of an exotic scheme, if you will. But so every year you go in, you're trying to learn something. You're trying to evolve your game. So that's never going to change for him.
Do you want to bring a veteran quarterback in here? Like, is that?
Those are, you know what? That's a Joe question, and you guys actually get to ask him that.
How much of the offensive struggles fall on Mike as the coordinator?
It always starts with the coach. It always starts with me. There's an identity, there's a mindset, there's principles, but at the same time, there's a lot of things. Like I said, it's not the quarterback's fault, it's not the O-line's fault, it's not the receivers, it's not the coordinator. It's all encompassing. Can't just. It's football. There's 11 players on the team. Every player has a coach, and so it's about finding out how we can get better together and making sure that it's collective. But we all own a piece of it.
Robert, how do you process the complication of you still don't know about Zach yet, in terms of whether he's your starter or whether he's being a veteran in. And your program is going into year 3, obviously, and you've made jumps in each of the last 2, even though Woody has not stated any kind of a playoff mandate in public, so to speak. I'm sure in your mind you feel like you got to be in the playoffs next year. How do you balance that with trying to develop Zach? And you've been very resolute that you think he's going to, you're not giving up on him and whatnot. And and then what you do with it when you bring a veteran in, there's a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So there's a discipline, major discipline, because I've said it to you guys before. My goal when I got hired was that because eventually we all leave. It's 2 types of coaches in the world, right? But my goal is to leave this place better than when I first got it. Period. And that means staying strong to making sure that we're doing everything with the organization in mind first and the future of the organization, and not being drastic and crazy where we destroy the organization. So developing the players that are here and committing everything we have to them is and the coaches and the GM and everything around it. That is my first, and as our coaching staff, that is our first and only goal. So if you can maintain that discipline, then it makes it very easy.
We noticed the finished shirts in the locker room and talked to the players about it. Just how did that come about, and also what was your message?
Give me that question one more time. I'm sorry.
The finished T-shirts.
Yeah.
Just how did that come about, and your message to the team about that?
We have an unbelievable equipment staff. They can make shirts on command. It's pretty cool. But I'd mentioned it. I think I talked about it in my press conference yesterday. Last year we were out of playoff contention, and we kind of simulated December football. Showed this video about Pittsburgh Steelers, December football, what it means, bad weather, and we created a makeshift scenario that if we won 3 or more, we had 4 games left. If we won 3 or more, we're going to go. We control our own destiny. 2, we need a little bit of help. 1 or 2, and we need a little bit of help. 0, we were out. And just tried to simulate it the best we could. Ended up being Jacksonville, so we entered Buffalo. I think it was needing a little bit of help, whatever it was. It was a good little simulation. This year, we're in the real thing. We're sitting there with 4 games left. We control our own destiny. If we win 3 or 4, it was the exact same scenario, believe it or not. And I look back at it, and we obviously we didn't win any of those games, but we lived those games. We played in these last 6 games that we lost. I think all 5 of them are in the playoffs. One of them won 7 of 9 and finished 9-8. So it's a tremendous learning experience. One that stings because we didn't get it done, but we played real December football with butts on the line, and versus teams who are fighting for a playoff spot too, who are in the playoffs, and we battled with all of them. I mean, well, except for Jacksonville, Seattle, but we battled with Minnesota, we battled with Buffalo, we battled with Detroit. We took Miami, who was desperate to get in. We took them to a last-second field goal, 9-6 or 11-6. But so there was a lot of growth to be had. So the finish is that we're going to be in this situation, once simulated, once experienced. Now let's finish. And finishing doesn't mean let's wait till December. It means starting the day. Everything we do is about finishing our workout, finishing whatever it is that we're doing. Make sure we have the mindset to finish, because come December, we're going to finish, and hopefully that gets us in.
Robert, what are one of the,
Tom and then Connor.
what are one or two of the traits or characteristics that you need to see from next year's starting quarterback, whether it's Zach or somebody else, that you didn't get from the position this year?
I know you'd love a little bit more consistency, but I think consistency falls on all of us. It falls on coaching, it falls on better O-line play, it falls on getting a better run game going, it falls on getting better route running. I know it's kind of a vague answer, but you just want more consistency out of the position, and that's really all of them.
With the coaching staff, are you, 1, open, and then 2, considering adding a veteran influence to the staff as an advisor, as a senior advisor, as a consultant? Is that something you're open to or considering?
Yeah, you get me choked up here, but we had Napper, God rest his soul, and I can look back and reflect on whether or not I should have replaced that position last year. I chose not to. I wanted to quiet the room, but that is a position we're definitely going to replace.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll have Joe down here around 4-4:15.